a third sentence now.
Okay, so that's...
And what do you have to enter the pound sign now to see if it'll accept it this time?
Okay,
Try that.
so under the pound.
Typically within a department, you have files or records of information that really aren't that relevant to anyone else, but they're very important to you. And the ability to be able to have an easy retrieval process for recalling those records at a department level, to get rid of all the boxes of index cards, 3x5 cards and Rolodex lists. I mean, they were everywhere. I wanted to consolidate that.
John, conservator is not the most common occupation, nor is it obvious how a conservator uses software.
Well, of course, sometimes you're looking for information and you don't know how to look or where to look for it. Well, there's something in Berkeley called Information on Demand, and Wendy Woods has a report on that.
The fact that much of the world's knowledge is now available on online databases is nothing short of a miracle. But it's also something of a miracle for you to successfully navigate through it all to find out what you're looking for.
Which is kind of impressive to demonstrate that.
If we assume by simply warm booting the computer that the plug was pulled,
Okay,
or I
there's a
forgot
power
to say,
failure and you're in the middle of a big spreadsheet.
and it's and we've got some real problems at the moment because we have we've never saved any of our data. So what I'm doing basically is rebooting the computer again, which is taking us, of course, a couple of seconds here, and it's sending me back to the operating system. If I go back...
Able's the better to answer a question in a couple of seconds. It might take him a few hours to do by hand, or maybe not even to be able to answer at all.
So ITRI's electronics research arm, called ERSO, has both short and long-term research programs. For Taiwan's chip industry,
attention that people have is whether it's easier to try and learn the
But you have to type right, and you have to use the right words, etc. Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Louis, it seems like a good word processor now has to have at least a spelling check or hyphenation, a thesaurus in it. We've seen that so far. What else do you really need to have a quality product now? To find out what the background is, how did you come up with Shanghai?
Well, I'd written the game several years ago on a mainframe computer, and I had hoped to port it to a microcomputer, and was a little bit disappointed with the resolution of the graphics available on micros. When the Mac came out, I saw a chance to put it on a computer that would do it.
So that was your first version, was the Mac version? Then?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can we take a look at the game?
5,000 bits per second. Here's what you can get if you like.
I always knew microprocessors could be put to a better use, kid.
And what's the...
And only require transferring names and numbers from the paper to the screen. The operator simply picks the appropriate form from the main menu and fills in the blanks.
So it's easier to work with a smaller set of data at a time. Let's go ahead and step out.
When we build an application, we're going to actually modify the application the same way.
We've got the C prompt, which intuitively suggests that I should type in something like this.
For people who aren't entirely computer literate or don't have all the equipment they need for a project. That's correct.
The speed at which I could move this image here, okay, and I'm moving here 8 bits, what's called 8 bits per pixel. I have actually, here I'm using the full power of the...
for several months. The program has won rave reviews from these people. They depend on good word processing programs to help them create professional documents.
I'm telling you that the learner is comfortable. You see, in the pair that you're talking about, one is the teacher and one is the student. The student is eager. And in the case of the illiterate adult, you're talking about an individual who has had not much success in their life in a lot of areas, and especially in learning. You're talking about someone who really believed that technology, or especially computers, would never be available to them. That's something that the rest of the world has, even young children.
Work together.
Well, Bill can show now he's connected to the server, and he can do a directory of the server volume. Now, one of the important things with Apple Share PC...
When one or more nodes go out, are these systems pretty resilient? That is, can they make up for the fact that something isn't there?
A lot of work has been...
We're going to see if he was really out at first base or not, huh?
It's going to be close. Ooh, a tough call.
What are you going, safe?
Called him out.
It looks safe to me.
Here comes Earl, because he agrees with you.
Eddie, now the action in the baseball game is...
To keep customers up to date with what's going on with their bank, what's going on in the markets around the world. If you look at it from another point of view, one doesn't need a branch network with a system such as Hexagon, because Hexagon delivers to the customer at his convenience all the banking services that we deliver him today in the traditional methods. who needs a branch network in 10, 15 years' time with a cashless society, you need to communicate.
Ali, president of Berkeley Speech Technologies. George.
Mike, we've seen digitized speech. You've got an example of synthesized speech, don't you?
Yes, this is a... We thought we would conclude strong, but it seemed like it's almost doubled itself within the last 3 days. So people certainly are out there ready to buy.
Yeah, the poker machine is a prime example of that, which for all intents and purposes didn't even exist 10 years ago, and it's approximately 34 to 36% of the Nevada market today.
It seems like there's all sorts of different word processors around now. How does the marketplace split up for word processors?
Well, we see but trade problems haven't affected sales figures yet. Multitext PC sales are up 100%, and the company has a long-term strategy.
The practice of law is beset with legal forms, which must be duplicated precisely to be accepted by the courts.
This is Gary Kildall. Gary, the little Macintosh kind of snuck into the business world through things. Executive editor of InfoWorld, and next to Mike is Eric Alderman, a computer columnist and a word processing expert.
Mike, there's this.
Here is a sum of investments, which is the block right here. Now I'm going to build.
In both of these cases, you have microfloppies, the 3.5-inch drives, which become the standard now, but it's still a pain in the neck, frankly, to get your software. You can't buy very much software on 3.5-inch drives. Is that a problem for the user, or do you see these things eventually replacing 5.25-inch drives?
Absolutely. We think.
Definitely so. You can also edit things, which you can't do very easily if you wanted to make it a little easier for a less advanced answer.
So the choreographer might...
This is, as John had mentioned, we are HP Plus compatible, and this particular product allows us to interface to 3 different...
Today we're going to take a look at some of the best-selling tax preparation software to help you decide which program is best for you. One of the newest things is actually filing your tax returns online, and we're going to begin with a report on that.
For most taxpayers, the month of April is not something to look forward to. Preparations for the inevitable 15th day.
Normal English, show me all forms mailed on, say, 4/2/1987, and hit return. Now it's come on forms, which is questioning what it is. It says,
it's going to part handling HyperCard in a kind of unusual way. I mean, how do you get HyperCard?
Lifetime membership to Delphi is only $49.95.
You do have a membership fee.
That includes a handbook.
And the connect time?
Connect time ranges from about 11 cents a minute at night to 29 cents a minute during the day, anywhere in the U.S. No monthly minimum, no extra charge for $1,200.
What about doing work in columns? I know that's one of the features you brag about, and how easy is it to do that?
Now, what is it you have on the screen here so far? What is this?
Well, we have one file already, which...
You can also use it to write a letter to Santa, and you can legally make copies for your friends. 'Twas the Night Before Christmas is $10. We step up a notch and move over to the Apple computer with Science Toolkit's Body Module, a $40 software package from Broderbund. I can't say enough good things about Broderbund in general and the Science Toolkit in particular. It's well-written software that's fun and educational.
For example, Dyna Computer of San Jose, California, was ready to meet Intel head-on with a 386 motherboard replacement for PC owners.
That I'm going to be showing and opening them all.
Add-ons, I suppose, for Lotus that are out there and available to the customers. Typically, is this it's called a TSR, Terminate and Stay Resident? It's a RAM resident program?
Well, HAL is...
And sensors that detect if a door is open or if someone has tampered with the reels.
The largest user of the Tandy laptop is the journalism profession. Virtually all major newspapers in the United States and around the world have used the Model 102 for remote data transmittal back to the home office for publication.
Oh, is that how it was written?
The single greatest mistake made by taxpayers is a mathematical error. And since computers are mathematically 100% accurate, given the formulas being correct, we believe that filing with a computer to help you is bound
to attract the keen scrutiny of IBM's legal department.
Rotate this around a little bit. Rotate it one direction.
Right,
there we go.
Right.
Who is, by the way, a highly trained aerodynamicist, gets to picture the physics of the phenomenon. And again, he can use...
I have a worksheet on the top screen, shows cash and cash balance. In the bottom I have a graph which is automatically generated as I move through this worksheet, and you see these different items are being graphed as I go through them. to support the contention that you have to understand your business to be able to model.
Regional Marketing Manager for Tandy, and next to Bob is Jim Bartlett, Computer Products Marketing Manager for NEC. Gary?
Concealed within the friendly interface is a high level of electronic security.
And Excel will do a conversion of that WKS file directly, and in fact...
Although the owners expect to recoup the capital cost through the building's intelligent features.
And the scene is now over.
Right.
Now, in order to do this, the student has started from the beginning and picked stages and actors and props that he or she wants. For example, the same scene could be done with...
So this could have been an assignment.
They're really focused on the Office applications, but they want to make their document look better than the next guy down the block from them.
John, there's a big... And we're going to take a look at the new Compact Desk Pro 386. We'll also look at the new Zenith Z386. We'll talk to the people from Intel about the chip, and we'll talk to a software developer about future applications on 386 computers. First of all, we are going to get Gary into the act. We're going to go visit Gary Kildall's workshop in Monterey, California for a preview look at what a 386 computer can really do.
Very few hardware introductions have received as much attention as Intel's new 386 microprocessor. The fact...
On 3 stories through this level of research, and I have several options of ways to look at those stories. Using the Macintosh, I'll pull down the display formats and select Quick, which stands for Keywords in Context. What that will do is display for me an excerpt of the full text of the first document. The documents come back in reverse chronological order. We see that the first one is from the New York Times from September of 1986. The section, the length, the headline, and the byline. And then we move...
That's an impressive game. I want to turn now to you, Rich, and talk about Ferrari Formula One. Tell us about the development of that.
Time for a look at software in this week's review from Paul Schindler.
This is one way to sell automobiles.
Can be part of the server network then?
Yes, each node can behave as a server so that when you install the network where you have the printer already, it can stay there. It doesn't have to move to where the file server is located.
Show us how...
Should they give you or let you use a terminal free?
It cuts down on the paper directories, which you have to agree to forego. And it's eventually going to cut down in the number of manual operators that you have servicing information.
So,
the Computer Center provides each office with voice and data communications.
Magnetic sensors tell if they're open, closed, or locked. They monitor the lights, turning them off and on at selected times.
Gary asked Tom, who's using this? What would be, well, of course, you're just starting to sell it now, but I mean,
Correct.
Who would use it? What do you see as the application for? Again, it doesn't run on batteries.
It does not, but does go on airplane.
The system can handle 1,500 transactions a second. Despite the fact that many of the existing terminals on the system are PCs or ATs, they are essentially dumb terminals with all applications coming from the centralized system.
About a dozen of them. So we have a series of conferences about computers and languages and operating systems. Each user that comes on the system can choose from amongst the conferences that are there those which are of specific interest to them. So for example, most everybody...
Meanwhile, back at the clone ranch, the clone makers are hard at work. Phoenix Technology says it may have a PS2-compatible ROM BIOS chipset in 6 months. Chips and Technologies and Paradise Systems, 2 other would-be clone suppliers, reportedly had PS2 machines apart and under analysis the morning of the IBM announcement. Plus Development, makers of the hard card, have just announced a new 40-megabyte version of the hard drive on a board. It's out now and priced at $11.95.
The 256 colors out of a palette of 16 million. That's what allows me, for instance, to have this smooth shading from color to color. Let me show you just another image that shows out the capability of the screen.
It gave me more time then to circulate and talk to individuals about individual problems. It did all the legwork for me. Rather than having to stand and lecture in front of the class, the computer did a lot of that tutorial work for me. And I could concentrate on special cases and problems and individualize the lesson.
The Computer Chronicles, I'm Paul Schindler.
Microsoft is offering a money-back guarantee on Excel, its spreadsheet program. The company says it hopes to get users to sample Excel at no risk while they're waiting for new versions of Lotus 123. IDG, the International Data Group, publisher of PC World, has finalized its arrangements with the Soviet government and is set to release the first Russian-language version of its computer magazine.
Of the Stanford University Library System. They can do assigned courses in programming.
These XT compatibles have several unique features.
We have some features that's not been seen in the portable market before, and those are a full-size AT-style keyboard, which is laid out. And it's the reason that the portable is as wide as it is, because it does have the full-size keyboard. It also has the feature.
For many laid-off workers, the plant closures mean job retraining. And for some, that includes such basics as learning how to read.
Customers who have Suns would be able to use the same applications on both Suns and on the 386's running news. And that's, again, why it's attractive to license news to the 386 community.
In NEWMOANYA.
Barely close.
Which is as far as you can get. And in just a blink of the eye, you'll see the product comes back and says that the suggestion is pneumonia spelled correctly.
About Dow Jones, and also Nancy about Delphi. We were just looking before at CompuServe Quantum Link, sort of general interest services. Dow Jones a little more specialized. What kind of people subscribe to Dow Jones?
Well, you know, what I had just selected there. So I can have the information in these stacks tied together in ways that make sense.
Taiwan's official agency for high-tech research is called ITRI, or Industrial Technology Research Institute.
Noted is one of a group of software programs commonly called add-ins, which operate within the spreadsheet environment. Add-in developers.
The increasing wages of Taiwan's factory workers do not seem to concern the local computer companies.
A lot of the packages actually generate forms, as well as the calculations, which you're supposed to use to send to the IRS. What is the IRS's position on that?
Voice synthesizer so that the computer can communicate with the student.
And then if we attach that code to subsequent paragraphs, those paragraphs will take on that complex format.
I'm curious about the smaller disk drives, curious about the displays.
A record of that to show to a client or something?
Happen to have
By working with the network, we are able to share data. So one person can be working on a module on his own and working on the features that he needs to do, and he can integrate it with the other programmers' modules immediately and be able to test his code with the latest that everyone has. And then quality assurance can immediately test that code because it's up on the network and they have access to it, so people aren't constantly passing along.
And what now you get some sort of reward. Oh, here's the reward for winning the game.
Yep, you've beaten the dragon.
And the Whole Earth catalog is, if nothing else, a very graphic medium. And HyperCard, because it dealt with graphics, was able to meet those.
Putting a coin in the slot is almost like booting up.
Basically, when you put your money in the machine.
So we have designed space to allow us to change with changes in technology.
At the heart of NAS, or the Numerical Aerodynamic Simulator, is the Cray 2, a 4-processor machine routinely performing 250 million floating point operations per second, with a burst speed of over 1.7 billion calculations per second.
It's here.
Okay. Can you show us how it works?
Sure. Well, we've got it on the screen now, and the opening menu shows that it still looks like WordStar. We've managed to retain the classic look, the classic feel of the product that's been used by millions of people at this point, and yet we've added...
George, what's the Delphi niche? Who would sign up with Delphi?
Delphi's largest growth of the...
Stuart, a HyperCard sounds like a hardware board you'd put into your computer system, but this particular HyperCard comes in 4 floppy disks.
By having it show all the moves. So there's 3 tiles that match.
With a windowing product that can be adapted to many machines, Sun hopes to make news the new windowing standard. The smaller footprint and better graphics of the new machines seem to attract the most favorable comments.
A mathematical technique known as linear programming that members of the audience who've been to business school probably remember with horror. It's a very important algebraic technique used on mainframe computers mostly for doing things like routing airplanes or producing things in factories from limited inventories, cash flow management, and that sort of thing. And as I say, it's very algebraic.
Why don't you get the program up and actually show us what...
So it's relatively fast.
And you don't even need the card to play the game, although it helps a lot.
Just to get the stereo out of it.
Yeah, just to get the stereo.
And it'll also allow you to drive speakers directly if you don't have an amplifier or stereo available.
Okay, now getting back to memory, you can...
one that boosts resolution to 1200 by 600 dots per inch. One of their first customers was Laser Friendly.
There is a growing market, I think.
A year.
What's the excitement, the pleasure?
The 2 megabyte SE with a 40 megabyte drive is now $4,369. A 4 megabyte Mac 2 with a 40 megabyte drive is now $7,369. And a Mac 2X with an 80 meg drive is now $7,869.
Best of all, it means getting your refund check about 3 weeks sooner.
Joining us now in the studio is Henry Hilton.
Like most companies in Taiwan, Multitech and Microtech both started small.
Over the similarity of its VP Planner program and Mosaic software for its twin spreadsheet.
Bill Lemons had seen conferencing begin to grow as a technology, and he put 2 and 2 together and realized that the byte readership, which represents a living database of knowledge about and involvement with microcomputers, could use conferencing to exchange information with each other. The magazine could use it to speed information to our readership base and to other microcomputer enthusiasts, and we could gather information back from them, and it's worked very, very well.
Is going to search through the database and find the records that meet that condition.
Okay.
After that, I could then say, okay, set the filter to this file. And DBase would limit the database to only the records that met this condition.
To be the differentiating factors, what we call word processors now, I guess, in desktop publishing is sort of the graphics. And so how is that handled with your word processors now? Do you have any graphics capability?
Right now we have very little.
Products are just saying PFS, professional file, Q&A are both flat file managers. How does a relational system differ from a flat file manager?
Portable comes with software built into a ROM chip, but he usually carries along a disk drive and a printer for.
My choices, by double-clicking on it, is I can read.
Protected mode, and that is in Flex OS. That's our operating system, and that's available today. Of course, as operating system 2 comes online, then our current GEM applications will move into that and remain compatible with it, indeed as with Flex OS as well.
What about DOS? I want to ask you to sign on to Nexus so we can take a look at that in just a second. While we're waiting for Connie, Doug, let me ask you about Bix. Are there any plans to expand Bix beyond being just a conference-based system?
It then offers a nicely illustrated version of The Nights Before Christmas. You control the pace of the text.
Right. And now you can go in by hand and modify that. For example, we could add a visual effect. We could say visual effect dissolve, for example. And now
search through dialogue and set up the problem for us. What are we looking for?
Yeah, the situation I thought might be interesting. I was having a discussion, argument with an attorney on the utility of the strict product liability laws that have run up insurance rates so much, as we understand. He was arguing the merits of the case. I was arguing that it's really done some damage to industry and products. He won, but I went to the database and pulled out some things that I thought demonstrated my...
Using a database to settle an argument.
It provides a lot of power for both the logic board, the slots, and the hard disk. And we have the most important part, as I said, which is this logic board. So the logic board contains the 020 and the 68881 arithmetic coprocessor. The 020 is the next generation processor from Motorola after the 68000, which is used in the Macintosh Plus and the Macintosh SC. It's a full 32-bit processor, such as the Intel 386, for instance. That allows
from 71,000 to a much larger number, like 710,000.
That means that cloning user interfaces is going to be extremely suspect in the future.
You know, back in the days of paper, you remember paper, don't you? When you ran across something you wanted to save for later, you simply cut it out. It's not as easy to do in the electronic era unless you have MemoryMate. It's simple and useful memory-resident software. You can put anything you want into it.
But many booths featured less famous manufacturers like KingTech.
I'm satisfied it's for real, but I'm not sure when it will come out. That's a big question.
Gentlemen, you...
The colorful decorations are vivid reminders of the commercial importance of the holidays, and 1987 is no exception.
In adult schools and community colleges, for people who are learning how to read as adults, and I'd like to see there being more. There are a lot of possibilities in speech with the speech capability of the computer so that it can work at a really basic level and make things.
And each one of those sounds has been digitized through a tape player.
Now I've died. We were working for Xerox Corporation. We're in Los Angeles and doing advanced research and product design work. I think it's about to reach the age we call mid-age crisis. And we all have the feeling that maybe...
Let's see. What we have here is we'll have actually a piece of music that will play, and we have it working with the Casio CZ101. It's designed also to work with Concert plus MIDI.
But that's
125 new features. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you editing a short document, and the first thing
we have variances moving right along. We keep all of that information by product line with subtotals, so you can say by all IBM compatible, by software, etc. And then finally, we've also got it by salesperson. Wrong one. There we are, salesperson.
Sharing of resources, and then also we have unlimited expandability, right?
Icon up here, it's our marginalia icon. Lets me put a note in here. I can say, for example, reminds me of my daughter, Katie, and
deletes it. There will still be a significant price difference for the added performance of the 386, and I think that both the 286-based products as well as the 386-based products will have a place in the marketplace for the next several years.
Okay, excuse me, you've just...
I'm going to show you a diagram view which shows that cash flow is a function of these two items coming into it. And we're going to go back through that and see that, in fact, cash flow itself is derived from this curve. Cash does not.
Over here is George Morrow, our regular host and commentator and chief scientist at Nestar. And next to George, Wendy Woods, our regular reporter. Wendy, of course, is also editor-in-chief of News Bites. Gary, start.
And it's going to appear to be a three-dimensional sphere. After this is drawn, it's going to have a three-note harmony, which should not be able to be created, but by playing notes really close together, makes a bubbly sound, but it still sounds like a harmony.
Okay, and the Apple can't...
What we've done is I've just executed a macro that drew the box around that. You could do it manually as well. We've also added a very, very fast in-context spelling checker, and we're actually going through the document now. The spelling checker has flagged a word.
They will also be used in electromagnetic research that could ultimately lead to levitating trains or practical electric cars.
You can put in a file something on 2 or 3 companies that I want to follow.
Absolutely. We've got a track, sir.
They're very similar. There are some features. We both basically had to design without knowing what each other was doing, and obviously both companies are interested in trying to protect standards where we can. But we're unique in the way we handle memory. We're have some advantages in cache memory, things like that make it a little bit different. But they're both very fast MS-DOS machines, is really what the...
Is the machine...
is written in Pascal, and I think it's very fast and efficient because it's done by one programmer. My experience has been in the computer field, when you find a program that's really a pleasure to use and really rewarding and satisfying, it usually has just one programmer behind it.
A CD-ROM player for the Atari Mega series. And most... There's one other disadvantage to manufacturing in Taiwan. Atari says that plant is working at capacity, and Atari would like to expand its manufacturing capability. So, armed with millions of dollars from a public stock offering, Atari is thinking about opening its first plant somewhere in North America.
This printer says a lot. I mean, the LaserJet is one standard, which has become very, very important, but out of the 36 printers that we tested here, many of them had several emulations in them, including HP LaserJet. 27 had HP LaserJet. 22 of them emulate the standard Diablo 630 Daisy Wheel printer. And again, it's for the office automation market, for the word processing, the spreadsheet, the database. The big thing is that there's a lot of competition out there to get that market because those people are looking for high-speed, quiet printers that don't disrupt the office.
Hey, this is at 300 dots per inch. An image writer would be at 72 dots per inch. And if someone chose to go to what is referred to as typesetting output, it could be 1250 or 2500 dots.
Sort of a successor to the Apple II and got into games and drawings and things like that. And sort of has become a business computer now. Do you see that the HyperCard also is going to be a very powerful business tool?
An interesting name. We chose it very carefully because it suggests that people should already know how to use the product.
Right.
And right at the outset, that's what we designed. We thought that it would be preferable to have a local area network that the average or typical PC user, one who's familiar with spreadsheets or word processors, ought to be able to use the first time that they see it.
Topologic. This Q&A from Symantec is advertised to have an artificial intelligence component. That's a natural language. You can parse natural language. Can you show us how that's used in your particular work?
The entire San Francisco Chronicle online now, if you'd like.
Something I always wanted to do.
Well, if you...
Also, because we do the original testing on the product before it ships, I have an expert in the department.
What we're really seeing here, Stuart, is a difference in the implementation at the adult level versus at the elementary school level. But the theory still holds at both levels. The theory, of course, is that somebody can learn better if they can learn at their own pace, if they can learn in a non-threatening environment, nobody's looking over their shoulder, and also if they can get the instantaneous feedback that they get from the computers. So the real difference has simply been in implementation. Very successful adult programs in corporations and illiteracy, in the armed services, etc.
Open was a Lotus 123 file.
Right. Chris, I'd like to ask you a question about
Chairman and CEO of Phoenix Technologies, and sitting next to Neil is Dana Crelly, Marketing Manager for the 8386 at Intel.
Dana.
Quality print, pretty fast, 150 characters per second in draft mode.
Next year, I'll bet you they'll have this thing now.
In the RS-232 approach like EasyLAN is using, the basic difference is the cost. The cost of the system is $100 to $200 per node. When you're talking about a traditional network like a Novell or a 3Com, you've got to talk about hardware costs, and the boards, called network interface cards, cost you between $300 and $500 a card, depending upon which network you pick. There's the network operating system, which can cost between $2,000 and $3,000 for up to a 6-user system. And then there's a difference between functionality between the RS-232s and the...
And this is the GEM desktop publisher application. What I can do here is we're showing the text. What I can do is drop a rectangle in here, much as you might see a rectangle on your paper at home. And then I can just simply select graphics here. We'll pull in a map of desktop publishing usage across the USA. I can then go to full page mode, and here we can really see the resolution of the machine coming into play, the speed of the processor, really combining to let me lay out my printed page and even add more graphics in, and then see how the text wraps around.
Twist you're talking about,
Yes,
we've heard a lot. What exactly is Super Twist? How has that changed LCD?
Super rate of conventional networks. Raynet Corporation introduced a different approach to connecting terminals by eliminating cables altogether. Raylan is a wireless local area network.
We've already gone past the opening logo. We're into the program. It's a very personalized and very interactive program. So what I'd like you to do is to go ahead and select an area that you would like to write about. You have a choice: relatives, jobs, and memory. So
To change the perspective, I can choose the lens in the computer to gear it perfectly for my optical system and never have to carve anything out.
That it brings multitasking, multi-user systems to the forefront in terms of the mentality. People are thinking about that now. It's not single-threaded systems that we've seen for years and years. And I think that's really the most important part of that.
Sure. Gentlemen, thank you very much. We're going to have two of the top...
This machine, or your game, uses a special board apparently to produce the stereo sound. How is the sound actually stored in the machine?
The actual sound is stored in... There's an assignment.
Right, and everyone can discuss it together. Now, the way this happens is that there are 4 positions the actor can be in. If I click on the waist, I move it either standing, sitting, or kneeling, or lying down, or...
Stable here, we had a database on it before. So this is a system with 3 nodes. 3 nodes, that's correct. And the system is capable of having up to 50 nodes spread over a distance of 4,000 feet. Each one of these nodes... In other words,
Like a lawyer, doctor.
And so what do we have up here? This looks like something for a surgeon.
It is indeed. This is one of the first CRT billboards, the first interactive advertisement. It's probably the start of a whole new form of advertising. You get a look at the Mercure XR4 TI sports car, both graphically and in terms of its specifications.
Really determined by the particular facts of that situation, isn't it?
That's right. The statistics of each player, his ratings, the wind conditions, whether or not we're on AstroTurf or natural turf, where the fences are, all those things affect the outcome of each individual play and therefore each individual game. Everything's rolled up with a random number and everything's different every time.
Must be a heck of a...
The Hong Kong Bank's computer network extends around the building and around the world. The system handles everything from...
It's very simple to do. Preoperative diagnosis. Enter.
Today, computer networks are transforming city government, department by department.
Initially, the sort of desktop productivity was...
And the company sees a growing acceptance of the Macintosh in corporate offices.
Usually the design department or a few unorthodox managers who see the world in their own ways and don't follow corporate policy closely.
Nothing real magic here.
Okay, so you went find horse, it pulled up all the horse cards, and you now have a horse card stack, is that it?
No.
No.
It's just showing.
From electric fans to refrigerators to computers, Taiwan turns out products for such companies as Amana, GTE.
Seen this before, has its own 9-volt battery in there.
Yeah.
You can use it on any computer, plug it into your portable, plug it into your PC when you use it. That's about...
While the computer system assures a random drawing every time, the law of averages takes a while to work.
As you mentioned now, we don't have an SC over there anymore, but we have, pardon the expression, IBM compatible, a compact portable 2. And show me now how you can have the Mac and the MS-DOS machine.
Q&A is a very powerful database manager. I usually run anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 properties. And in these properties, I keep track of the last time I mailed them and also information about the particular properties, bedroom sizes, this type of thing. And so I can access the database, gather information, and I can do a mailing, keep track of the people, and mainly my business is people, so I have to know what's going on.
Jim, the product you use...
I mean, you guys won't be able to see much of this, but Wendy, this is the screen as it comes up. It's got an appointment, all my things, my activities in the day. It has a calendar. It has a directory. I'm able to come in here and look at anybody's name and address I want. I can go view this fellow, and suppose I want to call him. All I do is press telephone, and the thing, it'll dial. It keeps...
quicker once you become familiar with the game.
Okay, and for people who don't know Mahjong, they're kind of suits, right? I mean, there's...
A dictation machine that doesn't require a secretary. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Wendy Woods.
Joining us now in the studio is Robert Bruce.
They always say, you know, well, the computer is infallible, but it's the programmer that, you know, causes all the trouble. And I mean, that frightens, I think, some students away from it, because when they do make an error, they're going, oh my gosh, you know, how could this happen to me?
With us in the studio now are Laura.
But engineers have had some trouble with this arrangement. Communication is a problem when you and your factory don't speak the same language.
Is important in a development environment because it lets us get through our programming tasks a lot faster than we were able to do before. In fact, where we would have used a VAX maybe for a program development, we now are using the 386 much more to do for each engineer.
Until recently, Taiwanese products for export also suffered from a quality image.
50,000 word spelling checker that's integrated in. And in fact, it's not really standard with all word processors, but this one does have it. And it has a selective hyphenation, soft hyphenation.
You do automatic footnoting, I think, too, don't you?
Right. Let me show you one of the footnotes.
One of the newest additions to the add-in category is a spelling checker.
Oregon is a totally separate division, and therefore their P&Ls and everything else is much less.
Jan, anything new? Is George Morrow. George, at the beginning of the program, I made an analogy to a television network or something like a computer network. In fact, if you look at these two schematics, this is...
The lab's primary research role continues to be in nuclear weapons research, designing missile warheads.
Roy, with Ready, Set, Go, of course, that's a product in which people are going to be using laser printers as the output. Could you, number one, print something out? You've got Ready, Set, Go in the Mac over there, or maybe Jim can help us do that.
Okay.
And explain from a software user's point of view, if I went out and bought Ready, Set, Go, do I have to then have the Laser Writer Plus also to make this work?
If we go to line 34A, we use the L, and we now put in 34A.
which happens to be the Schedule A deduction.
These are actual line numbers from the 1040, right?
Right. We now hit I for itemize, and we will take a look. There's a slight pause here because of the disk for the
So this is loading the number.
You plug it in, you bring it up. It's got a 3.5-inch diskette and a 5.25-inch diskette.
It's going to other wheels.
Oh my goodness.
So these buttons or links can be used to express.
I think that the introduction of the Desk Pro 386 has kicked off the start of that. And frankly, there's hundreds of companies out in the industry right now working on new hardware capabilities, new software capabilities to really deliver all the benefits of the 386 architecture to the customer. So I think we'll start seeing those.
What do you know? Example of that right now. Matter of fact, the ability of HyperCard to organize not only text but sounds and pictures has led to one company taking its mail order catalog and turning that into stackware. Wendy Woods has a report from Sausalito.
The Whole Earth catalog has been published here in Sausalito since 1969. It's basically a listing of useful and hard-to-find products, and some 2.5 million copies of this catalog have been sold worldwide. But for the first time, the add-in concept could be seen as a new approach to integrated software.
Multitech is a major exporter to the United States and manufactures PCs for Texas Instruments.
This British company is offering one of the lowest-priced portables, ranging from $800 to $1,100.
It's going to go up, so it's a little hard to say where it's going to wind up. We're under $2,000 now and sort of still going down, but it really will depend on the end.
That's
hacking and phreaking and everything in that area has been escalating for a while now in the past 5 years, and corporations need help in that extent, and there aren't very many publications out that help in computer security.
Because we didn't think it was a computer powerful enough. I think the HyperCard and the Macintosh together, I mean, this is year one of interactive video.
Good.
Components of this machine, if you know what you're doing here.
President Dave, Heidi, thanks for staying with us. Now, we're going to take a look in just a minute at the Mac's new multitasking environment called MultiFinder, so stay with us. Joining us in the studio now is Charlie Oppenheimer. We also have security code aspects of this you can do. We don't have time actually to get into that. If you can get out of DBase 3, and I want to talk to Lynn a bit about RBase. RBase is the other biggie, of course, in the relational databases. How does the approach of RBase differ from DBase?
Pauses between any of the inputs that Bob will be making.
Is this because of the template?
About any of the firm's 64 game titles across a range of 7 different computers.
100, as it was 6 years ago, was to be able to build a machine that would be able to be a remote terminal to retrieve data in the field and then transmit data back to the home office for salespeople, business professionals.
Bob, icon-driven, it's more almost positional-driven without having to have a keyboard.
Right.
The House Telecommunications Subcommittee has begun hearings on the FCC's proposal to raise telephone access charges for users of online services. FCC Commissioner Dennis Patrick testified in favor of the rate hike, saying online users would simply be paying the same rates as long-distance voice users. Massachusetts Representative Ed Markey testified against the rate hike, saying it would inhibit the growth of online services and would mean only the wealthy could afford to access information services.
They are here present in the word processor, but they're also live. Notice that my cursor now looks like the conventional spreadsheet cursor. And if in fact I change these numbers right here to a large number, all of the numbers are recalculated. If I take a look at my spreadsheet, sure enough, the spreadsheet was also recalculated. So you can operate
on the spreadsheet.
Bolts down here that normally, people don't think that these little bolts are going to last very long, but that's the only problem.
There's little plastic things that keep it all together.
Yeah.
So you're getting closer. Jim, you're in the real estate business, understand? Yeah. And how do you use database?
Slow and doesn't understand words or phrases out of context. But several major manufacturers
down here and get import. We have a text file that we got from an accounting package that I'll open up, and Macintosh will read it in and put it up in a window like this. I'll move this window over a little bit. Now, when you want to move your data into the form, you just point, and that data is automatically transferred over, like you see there. So it's
you need minimum 512, but
if you have more RAM, you can actually have more sounds. For example,
when the character is running through the mazes and he confronts obstacles, some sounds will be abridged, shortened, or entirely removed in order to fit in that memory. If you have more memory, the game says, hey, I'm going to use your more memory, and it loads in more sounds. So like when he dies, you'll hear him scream no as he collapses to the floor instead of just collapsing to the floor with a grunt.
Okay, you got some more games coming up.